Yeah! Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get excited. Let's get ready for the Octagon to enter Music City, USA. It's UFC Nashville Day. Welcome to the People's Pre-Fight Show, getting you ready for the UFC's latest fight night adventure. I am Mike Heck. Hope you're all having a wonderful weekend. The UFC is back in our lives. We had some boxing last night, the all-women's card headlined by Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. Katie Taylor wins again. She goes 3-0, closes the door on the rivalry and the trilogy. So we can talk about that. We can talk about UFC Nashville, all the big questions that are on everybody's mind. Of course, the main event, Derrick Lewis, first fight in about 14 months, taking on the undefeated 8-fight Wiley veteran Tallison Teixeira. It's a fight night card. It's definitely not the worst one we've seen this year, but it's it's certainly a card that we can watch tonight. So drop your questions in the chat. We will go through as many of these as we possibly can. So let's go. Nam Kablam, is Calvin Kattar's job on the line tonight? Tough to say. Maybe it's really going to depend on how much money he is making. I mean, that's really all it comes down to. Calvin has been a company guy. He's been a very exciting fighter for the organization. He was part of one of the most lopsided, but yet somewhat in a weird way thrilling beatings ever in the UFC in the Max Holloway fight. Then he beat the hell out of Giga Chikadze, and I think he showed the world that Giga Chikadze is like a fine fighter, but is not a guy that's going to fight for a belt. I thought he beat Josh Emmett pretty much every time I watched that fight. I've scored that fight for Calvin Kattar. The Arnold Allen thing was pretty weird. It was unfortunate with the knee injury. I mean, Arnold may have won that fight. We don't know. It's just one of those things that it never got going because Calvin hurt his knee like 10 seconds into the second round. The Aljamain Sterling loss was pretty tough because he just got taken down a million times. And then the Yusuf Zalal fight, Calvin just took forever to get going, and then he won the third round, and it was just a little too late. So I don't know. It's honestly all going to depend, like I said, on what his contract looks like. If he's making six figures a fight, he's probably fighting for his job tonight. Truth be told, I'm picking Calvin Kattar to beat Steve Garcia tonight, just because I think Steve's best chance is finishing Calvin. And if Max Holloway and that fight could not finish Calvin, I don't know if anybody can. He's just one of those guys. So yeah, it's tough to say without knowing what the specifics of his contract is. Master Universe Classic going well. Thank you, East Coast Taffy. Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, everybody. Wow. Cage Warriors main event. Love the cap. Hottest team in baseball right now. How about that? Damn right. Joseph, Mike, looking ahead to next week, do you think Holloway versus Poirier 3 is one of the most emotional main events in UFC history? It's got to be up there. I mean, this is going to be the Dustin Poirier show all week. And shout out to Max Holloway because he is trying to, at least to the best of his ability, try to play the heel. And I think it's a fun build that he's kind of playing the heel role and he's playing it to perfection. Like he's not being a phony baloney about it, which I think is pretty cool. He's trying to spoil the party. So he's not going to go into New Orleans and try to lose to Dustin Poirier. So yeah, there could be some emotion going on. Dustin is one of the most beloved fighters on the roster. One of the 10 most respected fighters. Maybe 10. I don't know. He's one of the higher ranked in terms of respect from the fan base for a fighter that you will find. So I really hope the UFC does this right. This entire week is just about Dustin Poirier. Obviously, the fighters are going to compete, and that's great. But any chance you can get to put Dustin over, put him over. If this really is his last fight, I actually think this is going to be his last fight. I've talked to a lot of people. I would say like 75% feel pretty confident that this is his last fight. And then there's like 25% who feel like, well, Ilia Topuria is the new champion. So if Dustin wins, he might just get a title shot. I don't know if Dustin's going to stick around for that, man. I think he's done enough at this point. He's got a bright future. He's made a shitload of money. There's really not a lot like keeping him going right now. So I don't know. It will be pretty emotional though. No doubt about it. Last stand. For the love of God, give us a heavyweight finish. I think you're going to get one tonight. I think you're going to get one. Let me look at the rest of this card, because that is not the only heavyweight fight on this card. We might get one before that. Kennedy Nzechukwu, Walter Walker could get a finish. Vitor Petrino, Austin Lane could get a finish. We might get 3 heavyweight finishes tonight. The main event is definitely not going to the card, so I think we might get we might get 3 of them tonight. How about that? Oh, I already put that one up there. Shout out to you, Last Stand. Mike, how'd you feel about the Sugar Neek stoppage last night? Wasn't great. I mean, the fight, Johnson was clobbering her. So it's, in my eyes, I was just like, okay, fine. Like, let's just get this over with, because Shanika Johnson was just running away with the fight. Shroud and Metcalf, I understand her frustration. It was, I don't know, like we were kind of like joking internally, which is like, yeah, that's a woman's fight stoppage, because the referee and the doctor felt like Sharetta wasn't defending herself correctly, which I thought was a little whack. But as a viewer, and I might as well just like take this time to talk about that card, because there were a number of takeaways. One of which, this fight card took forever. I don't understand why we have to start a fight card at 5 p.m. and then it is the mission of the boxing promoters and Most Valuable Promotions and Jake Paul and Nikisa and crew and Netflix to be like, let's make this the longest card possible. Let's take 45 minutes between fights. It's just crazy. Like, we should not be watching Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor make their walkouts at midnight. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. That's like 6.5, 7 hours into this card. And what was it? Was it an 8-fight card? 7 or 8 fights? It's unacceptable. It's just too much. Very old school PFL pacing. It drove me crazy. Having said that, I thought the event was very fun. Shout out to MVP for making it feel big. And shout out to the crowd at MSG, because they were on fire the entire time. Some unfortunate stuff that I took away from it. Outside of those in the arena and, the hardcore boxing community, at least from where we sit, because we were obviously covering it, the lack of interest really surprised me. I didn't think this would get the interest of a Jake Paul fight, because love him or hate him, no matter who he fights, it generates interest on the website. Maybe not all the fight week stuff, but on fight night, when Jake fights, people go to the website and they want to know what's going on. They may not buy the pay-per-view, but they want to know if Jake loses or wins. There was like no interest in this card last night, which was really surprising to me. It was very fun. I thought a lot of the fights delivered. Shadeja Green, salute to her, man, because I was in the building in Orlando, Florida at Caribe Royale, I think is the venue where they do the MVP prospects cards. And Shadeja Green was part of, honestly, one of the most non-entertaining fights that I've ever watched with Franchon Cruz-Dezern. It was tough scenes. It was just literally Green would throw a punch, Franchon would grab her and hug her, and then she would throw like 2 punches to the body, and that was the fight. That was the whole entire fight. This fight with Savannah Marshall slapped. It was very, very fun. The Alicia Baumgartner fight was very, very fun. It was 95% of the fights were good. They booked a couple of squash matches, which is great. The main event was tough. It was not a great fight. And I scored it 97-93 for Katie Taylor. It was on Twitter, so you guys could see it. I felt pretty confident in that, but the way I tweeted it out was like, I'm prepared to be fully wrong because we saw some wacky ass scorecards throughout the night. And I thought it would have been kind of poetic and ironic if, of all the 3 fights, this is the one Amanda Serrano actually got the decision on. Because Amanda Serrano, I don't understand what she was trying to accomplish out there, because in a lot of people's eyes, she won the first 2 fights. And the reason she won the first 2 fights is because she was very aggressive and she made it like a gritty, dirty ass fight. And last night, she's like, you know what? I'm going to go out and have a boxing match. And Katie Taylor just was like, bet. I'll do this all day long. And Katie Taylor just outboxed her. And there are a couple of rounds where like Amanda would land like a decent shot and maybe sneak around, but Amanda missed a ton. Katie was countering great, and Katie won the boxing match. It's unfortunate that that's how like the trilogy had to end, because had it ended with the rivalry ended with the second fight, the one at AT&T Stadium for the Mike Tyson Jake Paul card, like that would have been a damn good way to end it. But yeah, it was just kind of a sour ending to the night, but the right fighter won. Now he can move on from the rivalry. It'll be interesting to see if Katie continues on. Maybe they will book the Croke Park card, get her in there one more time. But if I'm Katie Taylor, like right off into the sunset. If you don't get Croke Park, you're good. You beat Amanda Serrano 3 times, beat feet. But other than that, it felt fun. I had a little FOMO. Casey and Jose were both there last night, and they were telling us in our Slack channel just how loud it was. It felt like a party in there, and it just seemed like the atmosphere is very, very cool. So there you go. Unless you guys have more questions about that, that's my breakdown of it. I thought it was a great idea to do an all women's card, but it just does not need to be 7.5, 8 hours. It's fucking insane. And then to do the press conference for like 2 hours afterwards. Golly. Be better. Do you think Wonder Boy can keep Bonfim from getting to the ground? Yes, I do. I do think he can. And I think Wonder Boy's going to win tonight. I think Wonder Boy wins a decision. But I could be wrong. Has nothing happened to Chris Curtis or Strickland after their incident? Nothing yet. Maybe we'll find out at the next meeting. How is Lewis the underdog in the main event? He has beaten so many top shelf opponents because Derrick Lewis is 40 and Tallison Teixeira is a big, huge young man who finishes people. And Derrick Lewis is, people just count him out. They think Tallison could just tackle him and submit him. So I think Derrick Lewis is going to win tonight. So there you go. Master Universe. 2 questions, Mike. Steve Garcia with the win. Is this going to be the breakout win he needs to get some respect on his name? We'll start there. I think people respect him. But again, he kind of runs into the problem that a lot of these up-and-coming fighters find themselves in. They don't fight enough. And that is a problem. You have to be, especially if you're not overall ready and people didn't already know who you were, you have to fight as often as possible. And Steve Garcia had the Edson Barboza fight. It fell apart. And, now he fights Calvin Kattar, which is a good fight. But I don't know what kind of performance you're going to need. Like, if he goes out there and just ices Calvin Kattar in a round, like that's pretty darn impressive. Like, he'll definitely get respect on his name there because no one can finish Calvin Kattar with strikes. We watched Max Holloway hit him 800 fucking times and couldn't get him out of there. So yeah, that'll do it. He just has to be fun. Just go be fun. Do not do what Yusuf Zalal did, and you'll be all right. Because Yusuf Zalal is like the prime example of the swings of this sport. Because he fights in the UFC, then he gets released, and then he goes on the regional scene, wins a bunch of fights. He comes back, and he was out there finishing everybody and getting bonuses, and people were super excited about him. And then he fights Calvin Kattar. He fought a very tentative fight, which, to his credit, go out there, win. That's what it's all about. Get yourself a ranking, maybe some more money. But boy, did people fall off that wagon. The people who are super hyped to see Yusuf Zalal fight, I'm not getting a lot of Yusuf Zalal selections on to the next one these days. I can assure you of that. So Steve's just got to go out and have a fun fight. And thoughts on Lauren Murphy's retirement and her career on a whole. Lauren Murphy is I'm a big Lauren Murphy fan for a number of reasons. One, if you don't know her story, it's pretty inspirational. Like, she's gone through some shit in her life. She's overcome some really dark demons in her life, pulled through, came through on the other side, made it to the UFC, and on top of that, fought for a belt. Like, won a bunch of fights, fought for a belt. It did not go her way, but she went out there and fought for a world title. To me, she is an overachiever, and that's great for her. On the other side of things, from a personal level, when I was breaking into this game and realized that, hey, I want to interview fighters and talk about mixed martial arts, one of the first fighters to come on my old podcast that at the time did not get a lot of viewership was Lauren Murphy. Lauren came on and did the first interview with her, and I was like, damn, she is like a breath of fresh air. She was very real. She was funny. She just says whatever she was thinking, and she cut some damn good promos on the show. And anytime I've ever asked her to do an interview or, really anything, she's always responded and always been super gracious and super nice to me, treated me very well. And when not a lot of fighters would give me a chance, she did. So I always have just a ton of respect for her for that. And when I talk about like memorable interviews in my career, Lauren Murphy is, I would say, if I list off like the 10 interviews I remember the most, I would say Lauren Murphy has at least 2 spots on there, with one of the top 3 probably when she spoke with me just days after losing to Valentina Shevchenko. I was just blown away by like how honest she was in that fight. Like, she went through a lot of stuff with her team and her coaches and all sorts of wild stuff that would throw off any fighter. And, she mentions that, and some people would say like, oh, you're making excuses. And sure, if you want to play that card, that's fine. But she also was like super raw about it. It was just like the second I threw a punch at her and saw her counter, I was like, oh shit, this is a whole different game that I've ever been a part of. Like, we are playing 2 different sports right now. So yeah, Lauren is a great person, overachieving fighter. I'm actually surprised she's fighting again, but I also know Lauren Murphy, the competitor, and I know she is a pretty sizable underdog tonight in her first fight in 2.5 years. But hey, you want to go out better? The Jessica Andrade fight was pretty tough to watch. It just kind of exemplifies who she is, just a super tough fighter. So we wish her the very best. Detroit Tigers, the hottest team in baseball. Not 8 in a row, baby. 8 in a row. Who could stop the path of rage? Let's go. Those Boston Red Sox. What do we got? Super chat. Mike, love the coach interview. Heard a take. Ice raids may affect fighters wanting to come to the States. Thoughts? Any idea on Perry's BKFC opponents? I don't know. It's a good question. I honestly have no idea. but that's something we'll have to see play out. Any idea on Perry's BKFC opponent? They wouldn't announce it. I wonder if they'll announce it tonight, because Dave Feldman kept saying, I got another massive announcement, but we're going to wait till Saturday to do it. And then the Conor McGregor thing where he's like, you're fighting one of the badass UFC fighters ever, dance for me, puppet, or whatever the fuck he said. I know Robbie Lawler was sort of the fight that everybody seems to be discussing. So I'll guess that, but I will do so with like no insight whatsoever. So Robbie would be a good one. But I just got to say, man, that BKFC presser was fucking terrible. It was really bad. And take it for like, this is me saying this. This is the guy who's like, I love storylines. I love all these different things and, building things up. God damn, that was just brutal. Like, it just smelled like I could smell the stink from that press conference from South Carolina. It was so brutal. Everyone just talking so much noise and the fake fights and all that stuff. Like, it was so bad. And take it from me, because if you listen to shows like Morning Combat and you listen to other people talk about bare knuckle and how they finally got in, they will tell you, Brian Campbell says it all the time, I was like one of the first MMA guys that was like, not just for like the Paulie Malignaggi Artem Lobov fight. I was the one that was like, this is fun. Like, these are fun cards. They're easy watches. And when they put on big events, it is just a different scene out there. I've covered a couple BKFC cards. It's fun. I covered the Paige Van Zandt, Rachel Ostovich card, and there's all sorts of craziness happening. And I was like, this is one of the coolest fight weeks I've ever been a part of. So in a lot of these conversations, like, I'll defend BKFC because I understand the vision, what they're trying to accomplish. This, to me, at least in my eyes, I was like, man, you took such a step back after this presser. I don't know. It was tough to defend. It was just awful. I was not a fan of it. So hopefully this announcement tonight will like shake things up. I did like the fighter equity announcement. That was very cool. I wish they just kind of started with that, because that would have taken the stink down a couple of notches overall. But yeah, not great. You could have done this in like 2 different press conferences. It could have been like an hour shorter. It was ridiculous. What else we got? Why is Garcia close to a pick'em fight versus Kattar, who's lost his last 4? Because Kattar's fought way better guys. Let's look at Steve Garcia's run right now. Chase Hooper. This is in 2022 when Chase is cutting to 145. Shylin Nurdenbecka. Melky Costa, which that win has aged very well. Sungwoo Choi, Kyle Nelson. These are like, the Melky Costa one is a good win. It's definitely the best win he's had. The Calvin's just fought way better guys. I mean, just look at his entire career. Andre Feely. This is 2017 Andre Feely. Shane Burgos. This is when Shane was the dude. The 10-0 guy. This is the one we got our eyes on. And he goes and knocks out Shane Burgos. Loses to Renato Moicano. That was a one-sided fight. Finishes Chris Fishgold. He knocks out Ricardo Lamas. The Zabit fight was tough. It was a main event. Cal wanted 5 rounds the entire time. Zabit didn't want it. And it was and we saw why Cal wanted the 5-round fight, because had it been a 5-round fight, he would have beat Zabit that night. Then he brutalized Jeremy Stevens, beat Stan Ige in a main event. The Max Holloway fight was wild. He basically changed Giga Chikadze's career. Giga Chikadze was probably a win over Calvin Kattar away from fighting for a belt. Now he's not even in the rankings anymore. And then the Josh Emmett one again, split decision. I thought Cal won that fight. Arnold Allen was tough. He got beat pretty bad by Sterling. And then the Zalal fight, was tough. So the level of competition, I think Calvin has a pretty good chance to win this fight. Because again, Steve's just icing these guys out. And Calvin he's got a legendary chin. He's one of those guys that you just can't hurt. I mean, you can hurt him, but you just can't get him out of there. So, yeah. So I get it. Definitely get it. Like, Calvin Kattar is definitely the toughest opponent of Steve Garcia's career to this point, and it's really not all that close. Back to BKFC. Thoughts on the BKFC $25 million tourney? Do you think Mike will ever fight Conor McGregor in bare knuckle? No. $25 million tourney? We'll see it. I mean, great idea, but I need to see it, man. Like, I need to see it. It's a lot of money, and I'm not calling like BKFC a liar, but when you're putting up 25 mil, like, I got to see it in action. So I'm going to need like probably till the end of this tournament and probably a few months after. Ask me that question in like May of 2026 and I'll feel better about it. Rick and GC were lit in the crowd. Yeah, they were. They were very funny. Doomstat, thank you. Damn. A lot of comments, questions. Mike, do you think heavyweight is going to be any good in the near future because it's looking super bad right now? I think it's going to be super bad for a very long time. You ageist the Derrick Lewis thing. I'm older than Derrick. I'm older than Derrick is. So I ain't an ageist. I'm just saying this is why I think Derrick is such a big underdog, is because the betting community, they're the ageist. I think Derrick's going to win. Does Bill Goldberg get the dub tonight? He better fucking not. He better not. They just better do it right, man. Just let him and Gunther just beat the hell out of each other for like 3 minutes and be done with it. That's how you do it. Any legit news on who Aspinall will make his defense with? Does the Gone assumptions hold any water? Or will it be someone else? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I still think Alex Pereira should get that fight. Ladies and gentlemen, last year, prior to short notice versus Jasmine, Fatima Klein was one of the more anticipated WMMA UFC debuts. What regional women's prospect are you hearing most buzz about this year? Prospect? I mean, Alice Pereira was probably the answer a few months back. And I see that, like, Bia Mosquito was the first name that I thought of, but like you have pointed out, Lazy Bet, she's 34, which is why, like, I don't look at Malcolm Wellmaker as a prospect where, you know, record-wise and experience-wise fits the prospect mold, but he's in his 30s, so it's kind of hard to look at fighters in that way. I mean, Alice Pereira is 19, so she would fit that mold to a T. So, but you want to talk about betting odds? Where are we at? I want to see what this number's at right now. Fatima Klein is a minus 1,200 favorite against Super Melly. I don't know, man. Seems pretty wide to me. Kylie, better Nashville main event tonight or Cub versus Artem 8 years ago? Artem was on a 2-fight win streak, Cub 3-fight win streak, one future champ on that card. Moreno, pick one from this card. That's a great question, actually. Let's look at the rest of that card as a whole. I mean, boy, they're kind of similar. UFC Fight Night 108. All right. Cub Swanson, Artem Lobov. Ally Quinta, Diego Sanchez. Owen St. Preux, Marcus Ruggieri de Lima, John Dodson, Eddie Wineland, Stevie Ray, Joe Lozon, Mike Perry, Jake Ellenberger, Tialis Letes, Sam Alvey, the legend Sam Alvey, Brandon Moreno, Dustin Ortiz, Scott Holtzman, Michael McBride, Danielle Taylor, Jessica Penne, Alexis Davis, Cindy Dandois, Brian Barberena versus Joe Proctor, Hector Sandoval versus Matt Schnell. And then tonight, God. I'll say, based on like the feelings I have, because I remember watching, and I think I was covering Cub Artem for some website. Maybe it was when I was at Fansided a while back, when we were building a damn dream team over there before everyone started leaving. I remember thinking like Cub is gonna kill this dude. Like Artem might have some moments, but Cub is just gonna beat his ass. That's kind of what happened. This one, like, I think Derrick's going to win, but it wouldn't surprise me if it goes the other way. So I will say, just based on that, I will say tonight, but I don't know. That's a great question. Rob Thomas being delightful as always. Any news on the Chidi weight miss situation? Okay, so that was obviously a very weird one. He misses weight on his first attempt, 171.5. And if you paid attention and would go to UFC.com and their recap, it said Chidi was 170.5. So it seemed very weird. We didn't even notice it for like a few hours, actually. And I saw this and someone had told me about this. So I reached out to the UFC and I was like, hey, can you tell me what's going on here? We watched Chidi step on the scale and he was 171.5. And then all of a sudden he's 170.5. Did he reweigh? Was it a miss? Like, did it get read wrong? What was it? And I was told 170.5 is the official weight. So, and I saw some people saying like, oh, this is, there's some sort of conspiracy going on. The UFC is sweeping something under the rug. For Chidi and Joe Kawani, for God's sake, they didn't do this for Charles Oliveira when he was the lightweight champion fighting Justin Gaethje, but now this Chidi and Joe Kawani missing weight by a pound is a bridge too far. Like this is the one, a half a pound. This is the one we're going to die on here is to make sure Chidi and Joe Kawani can make his fight with Jake Matthews and not be fined any of his purse. Like that's crazy. So yeah, apparently I guess he reweighed. I'm not really sure, but I was told at the end of the day, it was all good. What's up, VJ? I'm a believer in Feldman. He's done a great job at building BKFC. Seems like a man of his word. We'll see, man. I hope you're right. But I've been around this game long enough to learn that, hey, if it's too good to be true, usually is. But I'm not saying that it's not happening, but I think it's fair that I could sit back and just want to wait for it to happen. I think that's pretty fair. Any truth to Merab at 320? He said it himself that those reports were news. It was news to him. So what I will say is the golden rule. If it's not on our website, it ain't real. Bellamir's a good pick for the prospect stuff as well, but who the hell knows when she's going to do the MMA thing. Mike, how does Lane still have a contract? I don't know. I know, Rob. Any news on Natty Ice's next fight? Nothing yet. The broadcast is on, but no fights. Most dangerous hands in MMA's lightweight division, not named Ilya Topuria. Have you heard of Bebert Tumanov? What a pickup he would be for the UFC. Bebert Tumanov? At first I thought you were just going to say Albert Tumanov, and I was like, hell yeah, that dude rules. I don't know. Like, I've heard the name. I do remember him. Was it Diego Brandao? He just annihilated a couple of years back. Let me pull him up real quick. Let's look at this resume here. Yep, it was Diego Brandao. Lance Palmer, good win. House Monfio, good. All right, okay, sure. I'll have to look into him a little bit more. I do remember his name with Diego Brandao. Derrick Lewis, man. Dude lost a lot of weight. I noticed that when I played golf with him. I was like, shit, man, you're trimming down. Gaethje was the home team against Charles, but still. I understand that, but at the same token, a lot of people are like, oh, this is a UFC conspiracy. The UFC sweeping this under the rug. But wouldn't they just sweep it under the rug for freaking Charles? For like a half a pound? Crazy. Thank God DC on the rug. UFC needs to scout heavyweights from college. True. They see that, and that's a big problem right now. They have no scouting. They have Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby, who, look, they do the best they can, but those are two guys. They're two guys, and then they put so much onus on the Contender Series, which I'm not going to go into I remember back in my day with Contender Series talk again, but it was a whole different thing back in the first couple of seasons of Contender Series. So, but that's what they do. It's a business for them. And that's the thing about the Calvin Kattar situation. When I talk about dollars and cents, if Cal's making like 40 and 40, they'll keep him around because his name still has a little bit of value. But if Cal's making like 125 and it's Contender Series season, like they'll just cut him. Like they got no issue doing that because they're about to sign 50 10-10 fighters. But the problem is, like, any big physical athletic guy that size who would fit the UFC heavyweight mold, like they're just gonna go play other sports where they can make actual money, like real money. What is your beef with Lucas Tracy? Me? I don't have beef with Lucas Tracy. I don't think I have beef with anybody. Yeah, I've never said anything bad about Lucas Tracy. Again, it's the same thing I'll say about, when people ask about Guru. Like, do I agree with everything that these gentlemen say? No. But do I respect the grind that both of those guys have put in? Fuck yeah, I do. So yeah, I'm actually surprised to see that question. BJ predicting Derrick Lewis first round KO. There are no fights happening, by the way. We're at the desk with Dan Helly, Alan Joban, Chris Weidman, and Michael Chiesa. Mike, any truth of Marab versus Sandhagen, a UFC 320 rumor saying it's signed, it's planned to be announced during UFC 318. Not that we've heard. I mean, Marab literally quote tweeted it, the report, and said, news to me. So, I mean, again, it doesn't mean it's not true, but this is the social media world where people just, I mean, you see it all the time. There are a number of social media sites and people on social media who just, they throw the darts, They hope it sticks just so they can be first. How does the UFC create a women's MMA pipeline? Beats the hell out of me, man. I mean, that's honestly like when we're talking about the scouting of college athletes, like women's wrestling in college now is getting it's getting a lot more buzz now. It took a while, but it's starting to get more buzz now. Like that's who they should be scouting more than heavyweights. But yeah, that's probably the way to do it. GFL's Chris Wyman on the desk. No fights. Are we going to show your screen when the match starts? No. But there are no fights to talk about right now. No, Isaac, we're not. Rob versus Sandhagen would be great. Love watching Cody fight. Like, I think that's the fight to make. Like, they're definitely going to make the fight. That is going to be the fight. I just don't know when it's going to happen. That could be a co-main event for MSG. I think that'd actually be like a pretty good spot for it. Used to be Invicta, yeah. It's crazy what happens in this wild sport of ours because Invicta was like a good feeder for them. Breaking news, Lewis will get you out. It's possible. Saturday night plans, Mike? Watching the UFC. We working tonight. Be nice if the fights would actually start. That'd be pretty awesome. Worship, how is Aljo versus Ortega in China not a 5-round co-main? Beats the hell out of me. Lewis is a plus 260 dog. Is that disrespectful? Yeah, to some degree, but I'm not surprised by this. I think we're about to get some fights, people. Tristan, Mike, thoughts on Klein, Davis, and Kennedy? I'm high on all three. People are sleeping on Nzechukwu since they moved to heavyweight. Plus, the Elberg fight aged well. I'm not going to say the Elberg fight aged all that well. Carlos is just like super green at the time. And he learned a lot from that fight with Kennedy because Kennedy took all his big shots and Elberg gassed out and Kennedy beat him. So, I don't know. I think Kennedy, I think Nzechukwu is like correctly respected as a heavyweight. I mean, he beat Chris Barnett, who was basically half of himself that fight. I think that's a pretty honest assessment. We all felt pretty awful watching Chris Barnett fight that night. And yes, he beat up Lucas Brzeski, but at this point, looking at Lucas Brzeski's current career, a lot of people have beaten up Lucas Brzeski over the past 4 years. Dude lost to Martin Budai. He lost to Carl Williams. He got stopped by Waldo Cortez Acosta. He got stopped by Mick Parkin. He got stopped by Kennedy Nzechukwu. Like, Lucas Brzeski is a get got guy. So, and Walter Walker, like, I might have to make like a bet on this fight. Let's take a look. What's the over-under? What's the over-under? Total rounds. 2.5. Huh. Over 2.5 is -112. But so is the under. Yeah, it's not a lot of value there. I don't know. -112? That actually sounds pretty good. Might have to take a shot on that. But yeah, it's going to be a heavyweight fight. Is Invicta no longer? No, Invicta's still around. They're just, they're not on Fight Pass anymore. They don't get the same buzz. Who do you want Taporia to fight next? I want to fight Arman Tsarukyan. He won't fight Arman Tsarukyan, but that's if I had to choose, that's who I would choose. Why is Fight Night Abu Dhabi better card than UFC 318? Because Abu Dhabi's paying money. There's your answer. The New Orleans card, like this is for Dustin. It's a favor for Dustin Poirier. So, but at the same token, like they're doing it for Dustin, but I don't think like the New Orleans tourism board is like paying a site fee to the UFC like Abu Dhabi does for all their cards. So yeah, they're gonna stack those up. Why is DC in the Jurassic commercial? I have no idea. All major corporations eventually establish cracks and some fail or break up. What, if anything, caused the UFC to start forming cracks in their facade? Nothing. Like, truly nothing at this point. I mean, I'm not going to say that, but I mean, it's going to take something truly heinous and like apparently unforgivable, which the line for that with the UFC has gone way further back. So, yeah. I don't know. They've gotten away with a lot. Shirley Nate Trey wins fight of the night. I don't know. I'm going to go Calvin Kattar and Steve Garcia for fight of the night. When Martinez defeat Klein, opinions. If I was betting on this fight, I would bet on Super Melly. I would take a shot because I think this line is insane. But as Jed pointed out on BTL, like the comeback line on Melly is plus 700. That's basically the sharps staying like, don't bet on this fight. Stay the fuck away from it. And having said that, I think Fatima Klein will win a decision. But I think Melly is much more live than plus 700. I wonder what's causing the delay. The UFC's been doing this like all year. We have to wait till like 6:25 for the first fight. It's ridiculous. All right. Sugar Show overachieved, beat Jan, then KO'd the GOAT Aljo, then title defense and whooped Cheeto. Good run, was ranked number 11, beat Jan number 2, and yes, Sugar won that fight. Against Jan? Like I don't think it's like a super hot take to say that. I thought Jan won. I felt pretty confident in it watching it live, and I felt the same in the rewatches, but we've also said on a lot of the shows after that event that you can make an argument for Sean winning. Like I would listen to that. Let's say, oh no, another banner. Give me something. Give me the song. Give me the graphics. Come on. What are we waiting for? Let's go. Oh, we get the active UFC siblings graphic, which means we're about to get Super Melly. There's 8 active sibling duos in the UFC right now. All right, we're getting the graphic. We're on. We'll do one more question. We'll get out of here. Who do you think they'll give Patchy next? It's a good question. I would give Patchy a super tough out. I would go like I wouldn't hate Peyton like a guy like Peyton Talbot. I don't know, man. Like someone like it's somebody like that. Maybe a Montel Jackson. But that's it. Like, I wouldn't go any higher than that. I would give him like a super tough out. Jairny Barcelos. I think Hione's earned a fight like that. Yeah, someone like that. That's kind of where Patchy is right now. Like, I think he's Giannis, I don't mind. That's not a bad one. Simone, sure. Sure. Don't mind the Simone one. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. I don't mind the Simone one. That's fine. Anyone in that range, because I mean, Patchy ain't getting anybody. What's the UFC rankings? What does that look like right now? A guy like Vinicius Oliveira, if he wins his next fight. I mean, that's what we're looking at. I wouldn't mind, like, if they did Ayman Sahabi, I'd be okay with that too. There's not a lot of guys in this top 15 that I would pick Patchy to be right now. Maybe Marcus McGee, but even then, that's a tough one. But I was never really a huge, like, I always believed Patchy was a good fighter, but I was never in the Patchy's the best bantamweight in the world conversation. Just never thought that. Obviously very good and talented, certainly, but there are so many people like, yeah, that's the best bantamweight in the world. I'm like, really? I just didn't buy that. Because there are a lot of guys on our rankings that had Patchy number one for a little bit. And I don't think I put Patchy above. I think after he won the Grand Prix, I think I bumped him to like 3 or 4, maybe. But after the Magomedov rematch, I was like, whoa, okay. I think I learned a lot in that fight. All right. We're going to get the hell out of here. Let me look at this card. And we'll do some quick picks. Let you know what I'm thinking. Where's my picks? Okay. Oh, do I have fantasy action tonight? Nope. We do have a lot. Casey's got Steve Garcia, Jed's got Fatima McCline and Morgan Charrier, and Guy's got Tallison Teixeira. So that's what we got for the fantasy league. As far as picks go, I will give you my main card picks. Where are they? Bam. Right there. So the main card is kicking off with Junior Tafa. The minus 196 favorite. Is that really the first fight on the main card? That really it? Yeah, it is. Shit. All right. Fighting Tuco Tokos at 205 pounds. I got Junior Tafa getting the win because I don't think Tuco Tokos is that good. But hopefully they slug it out. I'll have Tafa getting him out in the first round. I got Vitor Petrino stopping Austin Lane early. Morgan Charrier defeating Nate Landwehr via decision. I have Calvin Kattar defeating Steve Garcia via decision. Stephen Thompson defeating Gabriel Bonfim via decision. And Derrick Lewis knocking out Tallison Teixeira in round number 2. So there we go. We're about to get some fisticuffs finally at 6:25 p.m. Eastern time. What that sounds. Thank you very much. Ed Michoud will join me live on the post-fight show when this is all wrapped and packed, and we will recap everything that happened here in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. And that's it. So Bruce Buffer getting the crowd going. Hope you guys enjoy the fights, have some good food, and we will see you when it is all said and done. Peace out.